Welcome to Snetterton. It's round 3 of the Thundersport GB Championships for 2017, and this is the Thundersport 500 Cup race for those that perhaps didn't quite make it where they wanted to on the grid. We had over 55 entries in the Thundersport 500s this weekend, and we can't get that many on the grid, so everyone gets a race still, and this will be a Thundersport 500 Cup race. Of course, there are some freshman riders out there as well as some elite. On pole there is number 66 Chris Jones, a gap second on the grid, so should have been James Wilmot there, but doesn't look like he's appeared. Maybe had a tumble earlier in the day. These guys have already raced. Further back there is Mark Leaning, number 11, known, I'm told, in the paddock these days as Steptoe. His sons, of course, Will and Josh Leaning, regular podium visitors in the elite class. Further back in the pack there is Elliot Humphrey, number 2. And we've got 26 riders in the field here. This is Dave West, just being overtaken there by Lee Sylvan and a few others as well to boot. Number 54 going through as well, Brett Haley, and another, that's Mark Leaning. And so struggling a bit just on the back straight there. It's Chris Jones though that has the advantage, number 66 from Huddersfield. Seen a few cup races already this season, and the man in second has been featured in a few, George Davies, on the Crazy Painter Racing Honda 117. George from Shirley, and Dave West here is not having an opening lap to remember. Unfortunately for Dave, having started so well, must have lost about 11 or 12 places there on that lap alone. So time to regroup, Dave. Into turn 1 we go, and there is a change as George Davies gets to the front past Chris Jones. Keep an eye out for Steve Shropshire as well. We've seen him at this level a few times getting the job done. A good battle going on actually for third, just behind Chris Jones as they make their way onto the back straight. Still a bit of pride at stake, of course, between these guys. Both George Davies and Chris Jones are both elite riders, so they're not new to the 500 class. In third place there is number 79, as I mentioned, Lee Sylvan from Bury St Edmunds on the That'll Do Racing Honda. So Bury St Edmunds certainly not too far away from us here at Snetterton at the moment, so a home circuit for Lee. There is Mark Leaning, going well as ever. He's been on the podium in the Thundersport 500 Cups before, and is looking for another one here. George Davies it is that leads. Rider that's coming through the pack in the early stages of this one is Steve Waring from Chester as well, on the Arkid Racing Honda. You can tell which ones take it seriously in the Thundersport 500s by the team names that they come up with. Very few are actually properly backed or sponsored. This is budget racing. These CB 500s, I know a couple of years ago you didn't have to pay much at all. Just over 4 figures in fact to get yourself a machine that could be ready to race. They probably fetch a bit more these days because they're in so much demand. I remember a couple of years ago, just about every CB 500 that you could find for sale on any internet site was being hunted down by someone or other. Some riders just like to keep them for spares, etc. Quite a bit of camaraderie between the Thundersport 500 riders. I have to admit that back in 2009, when this championship was introduced by Dave Stewart to try and revive the old CB 500 Cup, because it was sort of going in a direction it didn't need to go, I have to admit I wondered what on earth they were thinking, because some of them turned up and they were not in great order. And I remember speaking to Sid saying, what on earth is going on here? We only had 14 or 15 of them. Well, I'll tell you what, they sorted their act out and people flocked. And now look where we are, 60 odd per weekend. There's a move from number 54, nicely done, 2 places in one, up to first place then for Brett Haley. Number 54 then, good stuff, into the lead, the rider from Halifax, Yorkshire. He's on the right, It's pretty close here. The rest of the pack are all closing in as well. Number 178 coming in to join is Steve Shropshall. Mentioned him before. Rookie vest on. One of our freshman riders. It's about 6, 7, 8 riders there, all in contention here of potentially winning this race. Mark Leaning's in on the action as well, so Steptoe's getting his gloves off. He's ready for a bit of a ding-dong for a trophy. Number 49 I mentioned, Steve Waring. He's now coming through as well. Onto the back straight. Chris Jones, having started on pole, is just falling back a couple of places. There is George Davies, who, since he got to the front, has looked pretty solid. Just pushed back there Brett Haley into second place. There is number 59 as well, Lee Wharton. Lee from Basingstoke, so he's up there as well. Then it's Mark Leading. So what have we got there? 8 riders that are split by probably only about a second and a half. And again, brilliant speed shown there by number 54, Brett Haley, down into Murray's. And so they all bunch up again. George Davies in second place. Then they're side by side for third, 49 and 178. That is Steve Waring and Steve Shropshall. There's Chris Jones on the right. He was on pole. Just around the outside there, Steve Shropshall on Steve Waring. Shropshall with the orange vest on. Likewise, Warrior race leader still, number 54, Haley. Oh, just going a bit wide there. Steve Waring outbraked Shropshall, but took the pair a bit wide, and that will just give those in front of him a bit of a break for the time being. Haley and Davies, who goes back to the front again. So Davies leads. It's just from here on where Haley seems to have that speed around the right-handers. Just from about here onwards. So 117, George Davies has it. Steve Waring fancies a move. Number 79, Lee Sylvan, still in on the action. Around Coram Curve we go. Let's see whether the number 54 can produce some magic again. He's a bit too far back this time. But will he have a look up the inside? Yes, he will. Look at that. Such late braking and a proper block pass there down into the final turn. Well, that will only help George Davies. That will only help. Across the line we go. Davies leads it, and then there's a bundle for second and third. Steve Waring at the moment just looks like he might have it. Chris Jones is now coming back into contention as well. Fastest lap from the Thundersport 500s earlier, the elite class, was at 124.2. Pete Bardell. These guys are doing 28s, which wouldn't have been good enough to get them inside the points. So they're lapping at similar pace as to what they were earlier as well. But I don't think they really care about lap times at the moment. All they care about is a bit of pride and a couple of trophies that are going to be on offer at the end. There's just 3 trophies on offer in the Thundersport 500 Cup. There's none of this elite freshman business. Top 3 across the line will be first, second, third on the podium. So they all want to take a trophy home, and it really can just give them that boost of confidence going into the next round as well. So that's quite a lot. There is Mark Leaning then, number 11, Senior Cup rider. Dave West we're on board with, had a bit of a messy start to the race. He's just alongside there, number 46, Josh Hipwell, and makes up a place. So it's good news for Dave after making up for lost time, having gone a little bit wild on lap 1 and on the grass, etc. Dropping well outside the points. There's 116 and number 18, George Williams and Richie Canole. Those guys at the moment just outside the top 20. 178, Steve Shropshall, orange bike. Find his way through to the front. This is your race leader, George Davies. Now he's being allowed at the moment to get away because these guys just cannot stop swapping paintwork. Steve Waring up into second, ahead now of Brett Haley. And the more these two dust each other up, the bigger the opportunity here for George Davies to get away, because I fancy this could be a proper race here. But look at them, they just will not leave each other alone. it's very difficult sometimes to work together as riders, because at the end of the day you are racing each other. You all want to be the rider that drags the group up to the race leader, but the trouble is it's not just one or two of them here, there's 3 or 4 that all want a podium. 59 there, Lee Wharton has made some good progress to get himself near the sharp end of that pack. There's 58 and 111. It's Matthew Postlethwaite and Paul Lanyon. Still Davies it is that leads. A bit messy on the exit there from Haley, and that allows Steve Shrubshall up. So again, they're just not helping themselves. It's not going to work out for them. George Davies, barring any major errors, is going to be gifted this victory. I mean, he deserves it in many ways. He's got there in the first place. He attacked from the start. As we see Mark Cleaning now moving up onto a podium place. He fancies a bite at this now. But funnily enough, George Davies is not the fastest man on circuit, not by a long way. The fastest lap of the race so far is Mark Cleaning. Where are you going, Mark? Mark's decided to go and visit one of the Shell stations nearby, pick up a cup of coffee, and then he'll rejoin the action in a moment. Fastest lap of the race is from Steve Waring, 128.1. That's half a second quicker than the race leader. So number 49, the quickest rider of the group. But of course, because they have been punching each other around, George Davies just simply gets a 10th or 2 each sector. And there is Wharton now going past Brett Haley, who's just run into a bit of trouble these last couple of laps and falls out of the podium places. Not quite as much trouble as Mark Cleaning, who looked like he might be on for a podium there, and has now completely dropped out of contention. I said the fastest lap of the race earlier was a 128.1, Steve Waring, which is a complete lie, because it's looking a bit further down as we see there Shrubshall and Haley getting a bit close and personal. A 127 is actually the fastest lap, and it belongs to Martin Campion all the way back in 9th place. The last lap flag is out, and so if Campion had put in laps like that at the start, he would have been in contention. Where did Campion start on the grid? I'll have to have a look at that. He started back in 15th on the grid, so he's worked hard, but it's not going to happen. Steve Waring really wide there. Steve Shrubshall capitalises. The story of the day really in this class. The battle for second and third is still alive and kicking, but the battle for the win isn't. George Davies and his crazy painter racing Honda should be victorious here. Who's going to be second and third? The two Steves, Waring and Shrubshall, are there. Lee Wharton, Brett Haley's sharp on the brakes, he's shown that already. And then you've got Lee Wharton there as well, number 59, who's come from nowhere really to feature in the closing stages, and he's getting aggressive around the bomb hole as well. Up towards Coram Curve we go. Davies is oblivious to what's going on behind him. He doesn't really, he could actually watch this as he exits the final turn, because he's got such a huge lead. Oh, and just as you thought, there is number 54, Haley. He did have a go. He's done well to stay up on the bike. Bit of a mess. George Davies takes the win, but in the end, second will go to Steve Waring, third will go to Stephen Shrubshall, and fourth to Lee Wharton. Brett Haley goes across the line in 5th place, but a valiant effort down into the final corner. You just knew that he was going to have a go there, having been so strong into the final turn on previous laps. Unfortunately for him, he finishes in 5th, with Mark Leaning, after that error earlier at Montreal, taking 6th place. Trophies then to take home for George Davies, Steve Waring and Steve Shrubshall, and smiles as well to boot. That's it from us here at Snetterton. Please join us again for round 4 of 2017 at Cadwell in Lincolnshire.